the weirdest thing that I've ever heard anybody say.
What about consciousness? What about living things? I mean, is it still just atoms and molecules all the way down? We just don't know about it? Or are there some additional fields or whatever? So it turned out I came across some publications by a polygraph expert who taught polygraph to the CIA and FBI and so on. And one day on a lark, he connected his polygraph up to his plants. And he saw signals coming out that looked like what you see out of people. And then he decided to threaten the plant like he would a person. And he got a big response.
Whoa.
And so he then went on to connect up a couple of plants to polygraphs, and he would find that if he affected one, the other one would respond. So I thought, okay, well, maybe this is some new fields that we don't include in our physics. So I came up with, for me, it was just a pure physics experiment, grow some algae culture, split it up, put half of it at a laser link site far away, and zap the local culture and see if it responded, and I could measure velocity propagation and so on. So I sent that off to this polygraph guy, Cleve Baxter is his name. And so he said, well, that'd be a cool experiment. Well, here's one of these things where your life takes a left-hand turn totally at random. He goes to a cocktail party in New York City. He runs into Ingo Swann, who turned out to be so-called psychic, famous artist, did remote viewing, so-called. And so he invited him over to his lab and said, see if he could affect the plants and so on. While he was there, he saw my write-up about the experiment I proposed, which for me is just a pure physics experiment. He then wrote me a letter and said, well, if you're interested in the borderline between animate and inanimate physics, why deal with algae culture? They can't tell you anything. You should be dealing with somebody like me. I mean, I couldn't care less about dealing with, quote, a psychic or whatever. But attached to his letter, he had a big report that had been generated at City College in New York, where he'd done some experiments where he would raise and lower the temperature of sensitive temperature measuring devices across the lab. And so I read that and I said, well, that's pretty interesting. Well, it turns out that I had a great experiment for him. We had an experiment set up at Stanford that was a very sensitive quantum chip inside of electrical shielding, inside of magnetic shielding, inside of superconducting shielding, completely acoustically isolated from the environment. No way anything on the outside could affect that little chip. Well, it turned out he generated all kinds of signals in that little quantum chip. But what was most interesting was that I asked him, well, how'd you know what to do? He said, well, I didn't know what to do, so I just looked inside through all this shielding. And he drew a diagram of what was inside there that had never been published. This is when I put my attention on it, that just happened.
So he drew an accurate diagram of all the shielding that you had around this equipment.
And the little quantum chip and its circuitry deep inside. There was a big oscillating signal coming out of the thing that ran about 30 seconds or so. And then when he affected it, it just stopped oscillating. And then he said, you want me to do something else? And then he made it oscillate fast.
So he's doing it exactly when he's saying he's going to do it.
Exactly when he says he's going to do it.